Hello everyone. This is your one and only FabryLoN, and welcome back. I just realized that I really need to do this video because it's already the 5th of September. Happy September, I guess. It's the most wonderful time of the year. um, but in all seriousness, like it's the 5th of September, and I still need to do a pickups video for the entire summer, basically. Um, so this is going to be quite long because we're going to cover the pickups for the months of June, July, and August. So yeah, but I prefer doing that way instead of doing the monthly pickups video. I think it's a bit more interesting because I'll have more stuff to show you guys since there are some months during which I don't buy much stuff and others during which I buy a bit more. So I prefer to combine them. And yeah, I've got a lot of games, a lot of DVDs like always, and also 3 CDs, which I cannot wait to talk to you about these because they're really interesting. But like always, let's just keep this thing rolling and move with the games. And we're going to, all dusty here. We're going to start with 3 games I cannot show you because they're in Italy. We've got 2 games for the PS4 and 1 for the PS3. And let's start with this last one, actually. No, let's start with the PS4. It's more interesting. First and foremost, we got Nier Automata. I played Nier this year and beat it, and of course, like the following day, I bought Nier Automata, and I already played about 12 hours or something, and it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. The thing is very interesting because I was looking around stores in my city in Italy, and the game was there but quite expensive, to be honest. It was like 60 euros or something like that, and I was like, that's a bit too expensive. But then I looked on Amazon and the game was like 40 euros, so I bought on that. Luckily my parents, they have Amazon Prime or something, so it arrived the next day, so I already start playing Nier Automata, and it's so good. I absolutely love it. Cannot wait to go back to Italy just to play Nier Automata. And however, a bit earlier, like in terms of days, I don't know, like 3 days earlier or something like that, I was looking around again, like things that I always do in my cities, like talking, like meeting with my friends or go around in DVD stores and video game stores, like I always did, to be honest. And I was doing some errands or something in a sort of mall, and of course there is a GameStop there, and they usually have a pretty good selection like of used game and stuff like that. So for some reason I really wanted to buy for some reason I really wanted to buy some PS4 games, and I keep coming to Tales of Zestiria. I know it's no one's favorite Tales game, but I still want to get that because I want more Tales games to play. Um, and it's everywhere. There's plenty of used copies of Tales of Zestiria. I guess people who bought it just like get rid of it. So I found one that it was like 20 euros used. I was like, perfect. I just need to get another game just to, because why not? There was a good selection of PS3 games, and I got Castlevania Lords of Shadow, which I always wanted to play. I played on the 3DS Mirrors of Fate and really like it, even though I know it's very different from the original Lords of Shadows. But I heard like interesting things about the first game, while pretty negative things about the second Lord of Shadow, but that's for another day, I guess. But then the interesting thing is, I guess for security reasons, I don't like this method they have at GameStop. I would guess it's the same everywhere since it's a huge chain. They don't keep the discs inside the jewel boxes, of course, in the cases. So I went there to the cashier with the 2 empty boxes. They put Lords of Shadows, fine. That was, I think, 10 euros or something. Then they start looking desperately for Tales of Zestiria. And after 7 minutes on the clock, so a long time, they couldn't find it. It was just there looking among all the CDs and everything, the discs. And I say, well, we cannot find it. I'm sorry, you have to pick another game. I was like, oh, what the shit. I really want to get this. So I started looking among other PS4 games because I need to find something that I was interested into and I didn't want to spend more money than that. So at the end, I found another one that eventually I would like to play, and that is Dragon Age Inquisition. It was for the same price, but then they say, oh, you're lucky. For some reason, this game today is half price. So I was like, well, that's good. I spent 22 instead of 32, I guess. That's always good. I'm not complaining. To be honest, like out of curiosity, I booted up. I booted Dragon Age on the PS4, and yeah, it looks interesting. I wasn't blown away, to be honest, but again, I still need to play to finish Dragon Age Origins and play the second one. So we'll see what's going to happen there. So these are like 3 games that I cannot show you guys, but as I say, Nier Automata, Dragon Age Inquisition, and Castlevania Lords of Shadows. So let's move to some games that I can actually show you. And first and foremost, let's move to the 3DS, which is always a good idea. We got Codename Steam. It looks so interesting. It's a strategy RPG by Intelligent Systems, who are the same guys who did the Fire Emblem game. So I was very interested into this. And especially because I think it was Senkai. It was actually highly recommending this game. But the most shocking thing to me was when I was looking on my wish list on 3DS games on Amazon. And the game that I really wanted to pick up was Shin Megami Tensei Stray Journey on the 3DS. Because I think last week that game was like for less than £20. So I say, oh, that's cool. I'm definitely going to get that. Then for some reason I didn't buy it that same day. I've waited a week, and all of a sudden the game was £40. I was like, what the fuck? Oh, okay. I was about to like saying something in Italian. The frustration. And say, well, I guess I'm not gonna get Strange Journey because that's a bit expensive. So I'm just gonna wait on that. But I really want to play that game. So I was looking at other games, and all of a sudden I stumbled upon Codename Steam, and I've noticed that this was £2. I was like, why is that so cheap? Well, I'm gonna, even though maybe it's not good, but I heard pretty good things actually. So, and I'd be very surprised if an Intelligent System game is bad, to be honest, because I heard not many people talk about this, but the few people I've heard about it said it's a pretty decent, solid strategy RPG. So spend next to nothing for a brand new 3DS game. So I'm very, very happy with this. Codename Steam. Also, we got some retro goodness here, which is nice because during at least half of August, I was in Bristol visiting my brother, doing some work there and enjoying myself. And in Bristol, there are at least two, really, really good used video game stores. For some reason, I'm struggling to find good game stores here in London, but whenever I'm traveling, like in the UK, I can find some really good ones. I found a fantastic game store in Glasgow, and now there are these 2 excellent stores in Bristol. One in particular for used game, because they have some a good selection of various stuff for good prices. And so I picked up a bit of everything. We got a PS2 game, an original Xbox game, and a PS3 game. So let's start with the PS3 game, because I found it funny, because Leo was the funny nerd was talking about this game. So I found it very curious that I actually picked it up. So as you say, great minds, I guess. But the thing is, for these 3 games, I spent less than £10. I spent £8 in total, so I was very, very happy. So on the PS3, we got Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. There you go. I really want to get back into the Metal Gear series, because in all honesty, I haven't touched it since Metal Gear Solid on the PS1. So of course, like, there's Revengeance. I know it's a side game, I guess, but I know it's like from actually Platinum Games, so it's like high action, over the top, which looks amazing. And I've heard so many good things about this game, actually, so I can't wait to play it eventually. Although, to be honest, I would like to play the series in some sort of order, but I guess I can just throw this in and have some fun. To play as Raiden, I think, is the character in this game. So, but I love the fact that Leo was talking about like Metal Gear Revengeance, and there you have it. Next, on the PS2, let's move to that. We got, wait, a price tag. We got Beyond Good and Evil. Always wanted to play this, very curious. I know there's also on the GameCube, maybe that's the best version of the game, but I suppose the PS2 game will be a worthy replacement for that. Because I don't own a GameCube, I know I can play it on the Wii, but I don't know when I'm gonna hook up the Wii, to be honest. So the PS2, even though I'm not playing the PS2, it's a bit more likely at least. And I'm always happy to beef up my PS2 collection. I heard so many good things about this, and I know there's a sequel coming, although there are a lot of controversies surrounding that sequel for some reason, but very happy to finally own Beyond Good and Evil. And finally, on the original Xbox, this is interesting because on Amazon, the last time I've checked, which is a long time ago to be honest, so maybe now it's free, but this game was quite expensive. We're talking about 30 to 50 pounds last time I checked. As I say, maybe now it's very cheap, but when I saw this for £2, I said, well, of course I'm gonna get it. And that is Genma Onimusha. Always wanted to play the Onimusha series. It's something that I've always wanted to do, but for the most part it was exclusive on the PS2 that at the time I didn't own. Then later I've learned that the first game was also ported to the Xbox, but at the time I was like, well, whatever, I'll buy it eventually. So now I finally own it. I really want to play this because I love these old school survival horror games. And I played a bit of the first Onimusha on PS2 because a friend of mine actually had it. But now I have my copy. And for some reason, I always wanted to play this on the Xbox because the PS2, the thing for me with the Xbox and PS2 was like, I bought the Xbox because of Halo, basically. So after a while, I played Halo, I played Panzer Dragoon, Orta, and I played Knights of the Old Republic, and in a way, that was it. Because all the other games, there are a lot of good games on the Xbox, that's not what I'm trying to say, but all the games I wanted were actually on the PS2. Like, all the amazing JRPGs were there, most of the survival horrors were there. So I play some unique and fun games on the Xbox, I'm not saying that, but again, when I saw Onimusha was only on the PS2, I was like, oh, of course it is. But later it was ported on the Xbox, so I really wanted this for my Xbox collection. So again, I don't know when I'm going to play it, but this might be a good pusher, like, for letting me dust off my Xbox and play it a bit, because I really always wanted to play Onimusha. So that's it for the games, a bit of everything on different consoles. Let's move to music, to CDs, before hitting the huge pile of DVDs there. We got some interesting stuff here. Let's start with the most recent one. And that is by Phoenix, Wolfgang Amadeus Phoenix. In case you don't know, Phoenix are a French rock band, and but in this case at least, they sang in English. This is excellent. This is really good stuff. For some, like, in terms of like the melodies and the voice of the singer, which I cannot remember its name. I know they are from Versailles, actually, so this is kind of neat. But they kind of remind me of the Killers, of all people. The style, it's kind of that. They're not the same thing, of course, but it reminded me of earlier, like, Killers. And there are some amazing songs of this, so I highly recommend Phoenix. And I want to explore their catalog a bit more. I remember listening to some older songs Like a very good one was called Run Run Run, much years ago. So they've been around for a long time. This is a 2009 disc. It's not very recent, but it's funny because um, I had like a meeting, let's say, with a friend, and it was running late. So of course we were meeting at a bar or something. And close to this bar here in London, there is this amazing CD music store. And of course now, like at least 3/4 of the store, it's occupied by vinyls because that's the cool stuff for the hipsters, I guess. But there are still some CDs in the corner. So I say, well, while I'm waiting, because I say, I'm afraid I'm going to be half an hour late. So I, well, that's fine. So I start, of course, looking around this store, and I say, this is going to be dangerous because most likely I'm going to buy something. And of course, I got this. I was like, oh, Phoenix, I like them. So Wolfgang Amadeus Phoenix, highly recommended. And because of this, I want to explore a bit more of like this French rock music. And yeah, we'll see what happened there, because there are some really interesting stuff like in French music. Next we go, oh, this is an interesting one. In late June, I went to a conference in Dublin, and it was fantastic. I love Dublin. I haven't been there in a long time, but naturally, as always, what I always do when I wander around, it's like looking for video game stores, anime stores, and music stores. The holy trinity, basically, for me. And I find this amazing music store in close like to Trinity College, basically. I say, oh my God, I'm going to spend an hour here. But I was looking for something very specific because I was in Ireland. I said, I want to buy some Celtic rock stuff because I don't have nothing of that genre. So I look high, look low, and I've been recommended by some Irish colleagues of mine. This band, it's a classic. When was this? This was released in the late 70s, actually. But again, it's a classic, and that is the Book of Invasions, a Celtic Melody by Horselips. Very interesting, very cool stuff. I mean, it's all about basically Celtic mythology, but in a like as a sort of concept album in a way. So with this weird music, this very interesting text, but this is an absolute unique and very cool stuff. Highly recommended. If you never heard of Horselips, give it a look because they're pretty good actually. So the Book of Invasions. Just the title is amazing, but the music is excellent. I've listened to this a lot of times already. Really cool stuff. And finally, this is so interesting. A band that I always wanted to explore more because I heard songs here and there, but I don't own CDs. I wanted to rectify this. And for some reason, two things here in London. First and foremost, now it's kind of hard to find a decent music store, because naturally they assume that nowadays it's either everything it's downloaded on the internet or it's vinyl. So to find a store that sells CDs, it's not easy. There's one which is very good in central London, but around my house, for example, there's nothing. Since I'm living in a nice neighborhood, there's plenty of vinyl stores, but I don't give a shit about vinyls. There's one that's pretty good for used CDs and vinyls, of course, but their selection is very hit or miss, I have to say. There are a lot of weird shit there, and I was looking for Kansas, basically, and of course in the one close to my house there's zero, and in the good store in the center of London, they only have those sort of best of that, which I don't like those. I want the individual discs. And also for some reason I don't want to buy CDs, like music CDs on Amazon. I don't know why. It's just a thing. Like, that's a bit weird because I love going to a store, looking there. I mean, I'm okay buying almost everything, but for some reason, books and CDs are the exceptions. I'm weird, I know. So I've been looking for Kansas discs for a long time, like at least more than a year. And this June, I spent 2 weeks in central Italy joining a archaeological expedition there, and it was in Marche, and in a place in a small town called Macerata, which is a very lovely university city actually. There are two amazing music stores that we like. They will put a lot of places here in London to shame in terms of selection, I have to say. And in one of these, I found Mask by Kansas. So I was like, oh shit, Kansas, fantastic. And the thing that I love about it, like I've kept this. It was inside. Actually, it was on the front cover, like plaster like this, basically. It's like Kansas Mask with this, and I love this because basically it says third album, progressive rock, art rock, hard rock, rare, 10 euros. I kept it because it's so cool. I love the rare. So cool. There's a story like behind every item here. But Mask, this is excellent. I know this was not as successful as they were hoping when they released this in the 70s, I think. 75. I love like 1970s progressive rock and stuff like this. But there are some amazing songs in here, especially The Pinnacle. That it's an epic 10-minute song. It's so cool, but it takes a woman's love to make a man, 2 cents worth. All the World. There are some really, really good songs in here. I really want to explore Kansas even more after this, but this was a really cool stuff. I mean, I couldn't find this in friggin' London, but I found it in Macerata, of all places, so interesting. Okay, final segment of the video, movies, DVDs. We got movies, a TV series, and of course, anime. How could we not have anime in my videos? Let's put these games out of the way. Let's start with Mission Impossible 5 Rogue Nation. Before the release of Mission Impossible 6 Fallout, to get hype for that movie, I decided to rewatch all the Mission Impossible movies and realized, wait a second, I don't have 5. So I bought this for like a pence, so I just paid for the expedition. I love this thing about Amazon, and it's excellent. Absolutely love it. Not much to say, it's a big movie. But really, really good. Though I have to be honest, I think Fallout might be my favorite Mission Impossible. That movie was excellent. And also a cool excuse for rewatching these movies is because my brother actually wanted to get into the series because he only watched the first one and really liked it. But then it's not too much into action movies, though he likes this sort of espionage thrillers kind of thing. So I said, well, you should watch the Mission Impossible movies, especially after the second one. They're pretty good. So we watched 3, 4, 5, and 6, and he loves the series now. And I honestly think it's one of the best action movie series by far. As I say, Fallout was excellent, I think, really good. But I love all the movies, I say. 4, 5, 1, 6, they're all very good. 3, it's the weakest, and 2, it's not very good. Let's keep this for later. Let's continue with the movies. This is an interesting one. I wanted to watch this for a long time now. That is Shin Godzilla. This is basically Toho response to the, what was it, 2014 American Godzilla, which was not good. I didn't like that very much. I have it somewhere there. So coincidentally, right after that stinking pile of garbage was no, it's not garbage. It's just like it's mediocre at best. Was released coincidentally. There you go. We got the real deal, and I loved it. It was so good. This is how Godzilla should be, I think. There are some elements in here that would be definitely hit or miss for, I would say, the mainstream audience, because, for example, the first form of Godzilla. Oh my God, that thing! It was hilarious. Like it looked bad, to be honest, but in an amazingly hilarious way, like always only the Japanese can do. with those big eyes. It was, oh my god, that's fantastic. Because at first I thought that was going to be the bad monster, like the enemy. But nope, that was like, oh wait a second, that might be Godzilla's first form or something. And then it evolves into proper Godzilla. And it has all these phenomenal powers. Like when Godzilla destroys the city, basically, I was like, holy shit. When he shows this new power, like from the thing on its back, when it shoots all the lasers, that was really cool. Another thing I'd say, there's a lot of like the humans trying to stop Godzilla. Like always, you have to have those, like the army and the scientists. That's a classic. You cannot have a monster movie without them, in a way. But that's also a hit or miss, because I saw this in Japanese, of course, and they talk super fast, especially the scientists. Like they don't even blink. Basically, it's always like Japanese. It's a different kind of acting. Sometimes like, oh wow, there's a lot of fast science mumbo jumbo. But at least they don't just tease you with the monster and then have a sort of battle between the monster and the last 5 minutes of the movie. The monster is prominent. There's a lot of talking, a lot of humans, but it's the main focus. It's still Godzilla. And there is this cool scene at the moment with the tail, with those weird thing coming out of it. It's a bit creepy in a way, but I guess they have to keep it open for the sequel. So we'll see what happens there. The problem is we will not see a Toho Godzilla at least until 2020, because now there are what's Legendary owns the Western rights for Godzilla. So they have a contract that when Legendary release a movie, Toho cannot release another, like its counterpart. So now we're going to have that Godzilla King of the Monster. Of course I'm going to watch it because I love these things, but I hope it's going to be better than the previous movie they did. And they're going to make excuse me, and they're going to make King Kong versus Godzilla, basically the remake of that. That should be fun. I didn't watch Kong on Skull Island with Eric because I don't give a fuck about King Kong. So we'll see. But I hope that from 2020 we're going to see a sequel to this. Hopefully they introduce, I don't know, King Ghidorah or the awesome classic Godzilla monsters from Toho. Because the thing with like 2 sirens in one video, not bad. The thing with King of the Monster now, the sequel, the American Godzilla 2 basically, they're going to introduce more monsters. So there's going to be, of course, Godzilla. There's going to be King Ghidorah, and there's going to be Mothra and Rodan, I think. It's going to be there as well. So it's pretty cool, I have to be honest. On paper, it kind of looks like a remake of Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, all giant monster all-out attacks. Yeah, which is a really cool movie. Watch it if you like giant monsters. Although I like the fact that it's, like always, of course, Barugon, it's going to be ignoring this movie and replaced with another monster. I remember like with this clip by the Angry Video Game Nerd, actually it was Cinemassacre to be specific, during the Godzilla-thon videos, which it was talking about Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, and say, well, there's also another monster, Barugon, but no one gives a shit about him. It's not in the title, and it has a minimal role and all of that. It was very funny, and it was always replaced by other monsters in other movies. So we need to keep the tradition going. Barugon, you're scrapped, and let's put Rodan. But Shin Godzilla, really, really cool. I think this is the real deal, and we'll see in 2 years, I guess, 2 or 3 years, what Toho will do with the iconic King of the Monsters. Next, we're moving to 2 classics here, a Western movie and a war movie, because I love those. And for Westerns, we have I Giorni dell'Ira, which you can translate like The Days of Anger. Awesome movie. I love Lee Van Cleef. He's a great, I love him as an actor. I loved him in the Dollar trilogy, especially in Few Dollars More. And in here, it's like in, oh, what's the name of that? The Grand Duel. That was an amazing movie with Lee Van Cleef. And The Days of Anger, it's no exception. I love the relationship between what's his name, Scott and Telby. So there is this guy Scott, who's everyone treats him like garbage, and but he's really fast with a gun. So all of a sudden there is this slinger, basically this uh, bandit Telby, Lee Van Cleef, coming to town, and he sees the potential in Scott and basically becomes his mentor. But then there is, of course, like mentor versus student, the final duel. It's amazing. It's fantastic movie. Great characters. Classic spaghetti western. I love this. I can go on forever with these movies. Fantastic stuff. Days of Anger. Great classic. Um, now this, I say a war movie because I love those. This is World War II, and this might be one of the most emotional World War II movie I ever watched, and it's all the way from 1959. So, and as you know, with World War II and in general, like with the world wars in particular, I love the perspective of the war from the individual nations, not just the American view on the world, which there are amazing movies that way, some classics and some more modern ones. But for example, there is that amazing El Alamein movie made in Italy to the Italian perspective on that battle. There are some cool movies from the Germans. Letters from Iwo Jima. It's one of the best recent World War II movies, which is like the perspective of the Japanese on that bloody battle. This is an interesting one, a German movie, and that is The Bridge. Die Brücke, I guess is. My German is not very good. Which it's just look at this. This is a fantastic and very emotional movie. Couldn't be even longer in a way because the thing is, it takes place during the final days, basically final weeks of the war, and basically the German army is collapsing, and you got a bunch of kids, basically just high school kids, very patriotic though, who cannot wait to be part of the army, to join the army and do their duty, to serve the fatherland. They're very hyped about that. Like, I cannot wait to join the army and all of that, to defend Germany. And basically, you have like the first part of the movie getting to know these kids. So they're all friends in this small village, and this village has a bridge. So it like German high command had anticipated that the Americans are going to cross the river on this bridge. So technically, the plan is to blow up the bridge. However, you then discover that this bridge has absolutely zero strategic value, and the Germans have decided just to retreat and let the Americans pass. But of course, unknown to most soldiers, certainly to this bunch of kids who just joined the army, and all of a sudden they decide like they assign them to like a veteran, and they say, okay, you are going to defend the bridge. It's very important, remember. But at the same time, they gave order to their sergeant or something like, this bridge, it's worth nothing. Just don't do nothing, let the Americans pass. And then, of course, something happens and the kids are left alone and they defend the bridge with all their might. And when you see that one after the other start dying, it's really heartbreaking, because then you see also like the Germans themselves trying, like other soldiers, like, what are you doing? You don't have to defend this bridge. But they refuse to listen. They'll fight to the death. It's a really emotional movie there. Sorry if I spoiled a bit, but it's such a cool concept. And I cannot recommend The Bridge enough. If you like World War II movies, I'll say this is an absolute must. Naturally, it's a bit old. I mean, it's from the 50s, as I said, but it still holds up because it's not just about the action. It's about the emotions with war. And you see like these innocent kids dying. You feel something. You say, oh my God, these kids shouldn't be soldiers. They shouldn't die, especially like they shouldn't be sacrificed for nothing. And that's what it felt, especially like the ending. It's very powerful. But The Bridge, fantastic war movie, highly recommended. Next we got a TV series, and a very special one actually, and a kind of a random one here, but for a reason, and that is season 4 of White Collar. I love this series. My brother and I, we absolutely love this. It's one of our favorite TV series. And season 4 was the only one we didn't have on DVD. Still, we got every season up from 1 to 5. There's also a 6th season, but it's not very good. So and White Collar, I think, should have ended with season 5. Season 6 was just added because I think the series was successful, was doing well, but then I think they lost, I don't know, sponsors or something. It's like, oh shit, what we're going to do? We ended season 5 in a cliffhanger. They rushed a 6th season just to end and wrap up the story, and there are some good moments, but in general it's not very good. But we're rewatching some older seasons. Like we're rewatching season 2, and it's excellent. It's really a fantastic series. So highly recommended. White Collar if you haven't watched it. Now let's move to anime. We got a bunch here. Let's start with Appleseed 13. I really, really love the Appleseed movies, and this is a series from that. Got, what, 13 episodes. This is what I'm currently watching on DVD. I've watched a couple of episodes. Really cool stuff. Like always, the Appleseed movies are very peculiar in terms of animation, so they're very CGI heavy. But for some weird reason it fits, because it's all about those weird visuals. I mean, what do we have? Like, there's Appleseed Ex Machina was I love that movie. Appleseed Alpha, really, really cool movies. Highly recommend those. But this is also very interesting. I always like an excuse to go back to the Appleseed series, which is created by the creators of Ghost in the Shell. So what else do you need? Really, really cool. Now this is an interesting one. An entire series that I bought in Italy for next to nothing, basically, in my favorite DVD store. Basically, I watched an episode here and there of this series, but never the whole thing from beginning to end. And that is Witch Under Robin. And here we got the entire series, basically. All of this was like 26 episodes. Wow, it's one siren after the other. I cannot believe it. All of this, 6 DVDs for 12 euros. So it was like 2 euros per DVD. Crazy, crazy. Really good series. Kind of slow at moments, but oh my god. Really slow at moments, but overall story is very, especially the second half of the series is pretty good. When you're done with the mandatory like introduction arc of the various characters, the story starts rolling in the right direction. Very nice. It's a bit slow, but I think they could have done more with it in a way, like the whole like investigating and all of that, because it's a cool concept. This agency that like sort of police force that investigates the paranormal, like witches and magic and stuff like that. Pretty cool. I think they should have done a bit more like Ghost in the Shell-ish in a way, but that's a long story there to explain that. But Witch Under Robin, really cool classic series from the early 2000s, if you're into those. Very, very nice. Next, we got a very interesting items. We're almost there, guys. So last 2 here. But when I saw this, I couldn't resist because I knew about it, but never actually pulled the trigger. But now that I've done it, I'm so happy, and that is Interstellar 5555. Basically, this is a series of a long anime movie entirely like covered by Daft Punk music. Awesome. Like, if you like Daft Punk, this is mandatory. I mean, I presume you're all familiar with the One More Time video clip with anime characters playing. It's from this. Basically, the entire movie with these characters, there's a sort of story there, but it's animated by the same guy. Where is he? Leiji Matsumoto, the same guy who did the Galaxy Express, Captain Harlock. That's that guy, and it's cool. I mean, if you like, of course, you have to like Daft Punk because that's what it is. It's all Daft Punk music with anime in the background. There are some amazing songs. I love Daft Punk. So Finally, the last two items. I decided to keep this for last because this is a blast from my childhood. I always wanted the DVDs of this, and I'm rewatching this series kind of slowly. That it's Bakuretsu Hunter. Really, really fun anime from the 90s. I love this kind of anime. I'm well into the first part, and cannot wait to finish it because, again, this is really something out of my childhood. I remember in the mid 90s watching this, and it's really an anime from the 90s. There are a lot of cliches from that period there, but it's really cool, really in a way. I don't want to say hidden gem or something, but kinda in a way. It's not the most prominent anime you'll find, but highly recommended. A lot of humor, interesting world, interesting characters. Though I'm not too keen on the main protagonist, I have to be honest, but I will talk about it in another occasion. So that's the pickups for June, July, August. Long video, realized, but there was 3 months worth of stuff. So definitely let me know what you think, and like always, thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Take care.